So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Julian Barrell next, who's about to come up and to speak to us. Now Julian's kind of billed in the program here as Managing Director of Simply Efficient Software. And but for me, when I first met Julian this morning, is what struck me was that he wasn't a managing director. Well, that might be his day job. Actually, he was a teacher. Right, and the way that Julian was speaking to me sort of quite passionately about teaching and learning, again about his own journey as he'd started off really as a science specialist, 8 years in the classroom, coming up with ideas and then kind of developing them into what I think is a really, really interesting and creative product. It's just something that I'm dying to hear about. So Julian, thank you.
Right, let me just try and get this up and started. Yeah, just a bit about myself. It does say that I'm, marketing director of Simply Efficient Software, but I am a teacher. I started teaching 8 years ago, and I simply started teaching because I thought it would be fun. And actually it is. It was great fun. And the more I had fun with my class, the more I realised I had to try and do something about it as well. Unfortunately, there is a cloud that hangs over anything that's fun, game-based or creative in education, and we do really need to get rid of that. So the cloud will keep reappearing, and hopefully by the end of my presentation, it would have gone, turned to something different. So I'm new to this, and I realise everyone here actually knows far more about game-based learning than I do. So I'm just going to say what research I did before I came here. I'm then going to talk about my own personal experience in developing a creative game-based approach to learning, and then a simple solution I came up with that got rid of that cloud for me, and then how you can actually reflect upon the learning that happens through exciting new ways. So I didn't know what game-based learning is. I do much, much more now. I did have a look at last year's conference. There are people talking about if children don't like interacting with adults, then perhaps they should talk to a bunny. Okay. Also, I didn't realise who I was speaking with, but I love the Samba de Amigo concept, and the fact that the learning happened when the children stepped out of the game and they learned about samba drums and things like that. Tim Rylands, I looked at what he did last year, and one thing that really stuck out was his little quote. I love the fact that this girl picks up a pencil and draws it and writes it and is choosing when to be digital. It's not all about being immersed in the game. Then I added some bits that I knew about games-based learning. It's actually been going on for ages. Dorothy Heathcott, the old lady there in the corner, she invented something in the 60s called Man to the Expert, which was engaging children through activity and games. And at the bottom, we have the stressed-out teacher as well. Perhaps inventing a game in order to get her year sixes to pass a SATs test. So basically, the foundations of game-based learning are technology, and there's lots of that at this conference. There's learning as well. But the people who really seem to get to grips with it are the people who can get in the middle somewhere. They've got the technology, they understand the learning, and they're making it real as well. So it's that triangle. But of course, there's that cloud again. Hangs over everything. It's accountability, statistics, SATs, and the state, possibly. And really, there's no point in going on about fun, creative, new ways of learning if you can't get rid of that cloud. If that was the case, then Man to the Expert would have been the way forward, perhaps, and not just something that some schools take every now and then to prove. So that's basically the cloud that I've been trying to get rid of. So my personal experience in developing a creative game-based approach started about 3 years ago. Basically, I had a Year 2 class, and I made a cave in the Year 2 class. It was just a bookcase with a blanket over it. However, there was a danger sign, do not enter, by order of Brave Dave. And the children learnt that Brave Dave, who broke his leg, is in hospital at the moment. So they were desperate to get in. It's a den. Any 6-year-old wants to go into the den. They can't, though, because Brave Dave broke his leg. And that drove the whole curriculum. The children wrote about what happened inside the cave. They opened up for visitors, so they had to put up alphabetical rock displays. For science, I had to teach about circuits and light and dark. Instead of just getting torches and flashing them around the classroom, the children designed reflective clothing so they could be visible when they're in the dark cave. Each table in my classroom had a crash helmet on it. I chucked some wires and some batteries and some light bulbs, and the children had to make circuits and stick it on the helmet so they could see what's going on inside the cave. For ICT, before we went in the cave, we set in a little roamer, one of those turtle things. We stuck a digital camera on top of it with lots of sellotape, and we stuck on a circuit with a little light bulb as well. It was very, very basic. It's using technology, I guess. You might need to turn down the sound a bit on this one because it's quite loud. But this is what it looked like inside the cave before you even went in there. Program. Those days gave the map of the cave, so we worked out the program to get through successfully. It was a bit too scary. One child actually didn't want to go into the cave, even though he clearly knew that it was a bookcase with a blanket on top. But I don't know. Perhaps I was a bit too creative with my stalagmites hanging down there. So there we go. There's the two 90-degree turns, and it comes back again. This was our third attempt. I did have to bravely go in there and rescue it twice, but we were delighted when it finally emerged successfully. It's coming into this journey, and you'll hear the children. Speed it up. The big canvas. So that's what they thought about the cave, and they're desperate to get inside there. And it did. Basically, my whole curriculum for that term was based upon this cave. And this is what it looked like with my class just about to go into the cave, and this is some of the learning that happened. This was about 3 years ago, and I was experimenting with digital cameras and all sorts at the time, but I didn't really have any clue where I was going. You see the circuits in their heads? This child did some research at home. He's got an oxygen tank. There's apparently rivers inside caves. It wasn't in the curriculum, but there is, isn't there? So they're the first aiders. They're taking a register. There's 5 children in. They've got to get 5 out safely. Oh, we have registers at school as well.
I put 10 spare batteries on top in case that one runs out. And the crocodile clips are attaching, and the black countries, and they match, and they're making it going. And there's 1, 2, 3. So
this is what his design would look like. This is what's in his textbook. He's saying I've got 6 batteries on here. In case one runs out, I've got another one. If that one runs out, I've got another one. And there's 3 more as well. And that's what it looked like. About 6 batteries. I didn't have those resources. But this is reinforcing alphabetical knowledge. They're 6 years old. Jack here is very, very concerned. He can't find the Z. So he's not reinforcing his alphabetical knowledge. He's actually setting up a display for visitors. So this is what it's like in the cave. Very noisy. So that was basically what was going on. I was thinking, this is brilliant, and they are learning. I can see they're learning. But if anyone was walking past my classroom, they'll just hear a massive big noise, and it would sort of, I don't know, it'd be hard to prove, even though I knew they were learning from it. So I decided there must be a simple solution. And I wanted to be accountable for the learning experiences I provide for my class. I knew, as a science coordinator, that science SATs don't reflect that knowledge. I was given the task once of looking through all the SATs papers and working out where the weaknesses were in the teaching in the school. And one of the questions was, medicine bottles used to be made out of glass. Now they're made out of plastic. Why is that? And the children would get 1 point in their SATs test if they could say, oh, well, glass is sharp when it breaks and it's dangerous. Now, if it's important for an 11-year-old to know why glass bottles are now plastic, make it relevant. Well, Ribena, 2 years ago, most Ribena bottles were glass. Most children know about Ribena. They're now plastic. Let's write off to Ribena. What questions will we have to ask them? How will we structure our letter to get the answers we need? You probably get a nice letter back from Ribena, a little Ribena berry sitting on your desk to show the children, but they'll probably say there's a number of reasons. It's cheap, it's easy to transport, it's lightweight, we can package it better. Oh, and it's also a bit safer as well. They won't smash quite so much if we drop a load. So I realised that SATs weren't the answer, and I don't think there is an argument that if you teach creatively, it will reflect in your SAT results. I'm not too convinced by that. So with help from a friend, I developed my own system. And basically my friend's really sort of like one of these techno geeks. He's fantastic. He, made something that I cobbled together from Access and a few spreadsheets online and really quite nice. So this is how I developed my learning and my teaching and how I sort of captured bits in order to become accountable. What you'll see here isn't in relation to computer games, but it's very much linked, especially as people here saying, it's when you step outside the games as well, that's when the learning really starts happening. So basically, it's about capturing evidence. These children are talking about the dance they made for Brave Dave when he got bored in hospital. It's a QCA thing. Children have to put into words actions rather than just enact them, which is quite tricky, actually, for 6-year-olds.
Do to show that? How can you describe your movement?
We go on these like that and we bend down.
So that's them talking to my TA while I was looking at the dancers in the school dome. And this is their dance they talked about. That's them on their knees, because there's snails in the cave. These are stalagmites and stalactites coming up. And it took about 4 weeks for them to come up with this dance for Brave Dave. But also learning happens outside of school. So those trips you go on, learning's happening there, although they tend to be tagged on. Also, if you take it to the nth degree, children actually perform far better in very different environments. These are PE QC objectives, movement and quality and control. A child might be far better at demonstrating that at a skate park than he is in the school gym. Just going to pause it there. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, dear. Right, well, what I was going to say is if a child had actually given me that piece of evidence that they captured themselves, I'd probably say, I'm not even looking at that until you've got your crash helmet on and your knee pads on. But that was just me at the skate park, where I live. What I'll do is I'll show you that from here. So I can fast forward it. I'm also a sailing instructor as well, so I could have put in RWA objectives, not just QCA. And this is how it works anyway. So this is what Dave helped me create. You just log on as a school. Each school's got a password. Parents can log on as well, because I heard about online reporting and I thought this is what it might actually be, not just numbers in tables. Then you just upload that evidence. It could be a photograph. If your teachers aren't very techno-savvy, it could just be, I saw them doing it here. You just click, 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 this is what they're doing. Once you've got that uploaded, you just link it to the national curriculum and whatever might be happening. So in a minute you'll see the clip of a Tudor dance. I'm linking that at the moment to those 6 pupils that are appearing and also to the PE curriculum. They're dancing in coordination with each other. There's also teamwork going on, but they're also dressed as tutors. So I'm also going to select history objectives as well. So that piece of PE is not just a dance for PE, it's also cross-curricular as well. Very simple. Children are learning, and you say what they're learning. And then once that's done, it can go wherever you want it to go. And then, to be accountable, it puts it against ApS scores and national curriculum levels, but you can click on there, and there you can see why I've said that child's at that level. Not because they've passed a test, but because of what they're doing in the classroom. Copy, repeat, and explore simple skills and actions. And there's the evidence of them doing it. It could just be a photograph. Okay, I'll stop it there. Right, if I go back to the presentation, so once I actually did that, I then felt free in a way to carry on teaching as I wanted to. So if I just get through back to the slide as I am. So this is one of the last days of teaching, actually, when my children were learning about shipwreck. And they were so involved, I realised I could just step back and just capture elements of what they're doing. Right, I'll show you the version outside of PowerPoint. This computer seems to have frozen.
It's a PC, I think. Yeah.
So just Control Alt delete it.
It's been recorded, isn't it? No more international jollies for me.
So Control Alt delete.
Yeah.
It's not responding.
It would be fine if it ran Windows 7.
So this is one of the last days of, in full-time teaching, although I'm going back after Easter. We're doing a space mission, which will be brilliant fun. And I've got so many ideas after today. But we did a deep-sea adventure, trying to get a shipwreck from the bottom of the sea. And this is the learning going on. And the children were so engaged, I just went round and
So, you're programming to get to where?
The shipwreck there.
Right, and that's the route it's got to take. Have you written down the program for it so far? Oh, yes, I can see. So,
That's two of them. That's our square and that's
well,
our
the guy who made PIMS has got a notebook as well, just like that when he's doing his programming.
what have you improved it?
We've added extra we've added extra so she doesn't forget what she should say and stuff.
So you've added it so you don't forget. And also, do you remember the scientist didn't give you a very precise answer? Instead of saying how deep you have to go, say how many metres you have to go. And then you have to say, it's 50 metres, is it deep? So, but if you actually ask the question, instead of saying how deep you have to go, and she goes, oh, just a bit deep. So how many metres do you have to go?
How many meters deep?
Yeah, and then the scientist has to be scientific in their answer, and that's what you want from a scientist with a question.
How many meters?
Excellent, well done.
This is
Okay,
rescuing
so what do you
the
program?
injured fish, because of course if you're lifting up a cannon, it's going to fall down and you might get an octopus's leg or something. So this is the rescue submarine being programmed to collect the dead fish.
Collecting the fish because they're all injured and we're taking them to the animal hospital. What are you doing? Please stop.
Oh dear. You're going to have to program.
And of course you have to interview the scientists, so this is a group here doing a scientific interview based on those questions that they were doing earlier.
Lots of animals we can say that. The animals we have land animals. One's big as a It's on your room. I think it's 2 metres and it's 10 metres.
So 2 metres per... So that's 10 metres because...
4, 6, 8, 10, yeah.
Right, so that's...
Because we're going to have the cannons facing upwards from the ground like that.
So you know how tall it's going to be as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to worry about the base of the cannon rather than how long it's going to be, because it's going to be facing upwards.
Look, you've got 2 meters per square, because we couldn't have 4 meter cannons because they're 3 meters, aren't they? So we had so we had 2.5. Yeah. So we.
Excellent. Good stuff.
And they created a documentary about the experience, basically in a pizza box that became the submarine.
Going on to the last thing where we've got all the people in, and now they're going up to get to there to fix the broken window.
So the people actually going in and...
And the children could name each of those little tinfoil people and say, that's me in the submarine there, about to go and do this, that and the other.
How many kicks? So how many do you have to have a whole second of action then?
15.
It's 15 for a whole second of action. Brilliant. That's excellent, well done.
Right, I'm going to now try and start PowerPoint again. And by the way, if you wanted to see what really happened that day, this is what the documentary showed.
This is Amjad, a manned submarine. Hello, I'm called Lisa. I am Amjad's animal behaviour expert. I studied the animal's behaviour and see what's wrong. G'day, I'm Alice Birch. I come from Mariki. I'm the engineer of our group. I help the scientists invent new things. Using my experience from the past and my friends Jack and Reese, I built Amjad, the manned submarine, the ocean explorer, and now over to Jack. Hi, I'm called Jack Rawley. I'm Amjad's habitat expert, and I study a species' habitat and where it is. Also, I examine burrows, nests, etc., and tell the rest of the group what animal lives there. My name is Luke Richardson. I'm the cameraman of Amjad. I film Maisie Collard, who will go down and interview the Amjad team. I work for Action Adventures movie making group. I go down with Amjad and catch all the exciting things that go on. Hi, I'm called Maisie. I'm the interviewer of Amjad. I asked the Amjad team some questions about what they do in their job. They all travelled in Amjad on their mission in the Gulf of Mexico. It was going so well, rescuing the fish from the sharks. But then disaster struck. The window in the compass room suddenly smashed. We were rushing all the way to the biggest escape pod. I caught all the way home and I was so terrified. We went up to the surface and got some experts to fix the compass room window with me. After we got the experts, we went back down in the escape pod to find Amjad. We all had our diving equipment on, and Alice, Harvey and Ryan went to fix the compass room window. After the compass room window was fixed, we carried on with the mission. The end.
There we go. And the Amjad pizza box went home with a different child for every 2 weeks, and that carried on for the whole year because they loved their little pizza box so much. So basically, you can easily get rid of that accountability cloud if you just consider it as shared reflection. I'm going to whiz through. Have I got much time left at all?
About 5 minutes left.
Oh, that's perfect then. All right, I'll go through it all then. So what I did was I invented my own online reading diary, which I used and shared with parents. Because I realised, this is with year twos, that all that stuff I was doing for SATs, writing, proved very little. It was notes that only I could really understand. But one little clip could say 1,000 words. So I introduced the session. Is there a sound for this one? And then parents got to see how their child did as well.
So you can sound out a word, you can break it down into smaller pieces, or you can cover up the word and see what the rest of the sentence says. And that's what we're going to be doing in group reading today. You've got 3, have you? Let's have a look at the sentence. What does the sentence say?
Who's the captain of a something ship?
We'll pretend that something's a tricky word.
Something.
Pirate
Yeah.
ship, fisherman ship, or sailing.
Right. One of those words doesn't quite seem to fit. Which one doesn't fit very well? Yes, why is that?
Because you can have fishermen on the ship, but not a fisherman ship.
Right, you have fishermen on a ship, so...
Instantly, a 6-year-old's understanding of grammar there. You have a fisherman on a ship, but not a fisherman ship. This is, again, working with a TA, talking about my design, but then turning the camera around to actually see what the finished product was and relating back to the paperwork. Also, with the shipwreck thing, you saw lots of children working outside. I realised that my class did work far, far better outside. So they actually planned how big the shipwreck was. I gave them a map. One group finished early, so I just gave them a couple of cameras and said, go with that group over there, ask them how they knew how big to make their shipwreck. Ask them how they got their angles correct. And they thought they were on Anger TV or whatever, but they're actually reflecting on their learning, reinforcing what they're doing in a really fun and interesting way.
Each square, so a square is 2 metres. So in between these two posts, we find 90 and we make sure the bricks are 90 and there's a right angle, but then we struggle with the 45-degree angle. Right.
Okay, I think that's a level 2 APP. I understand what a right angle is. Level 3 is understanding a right angle is a unit of turn, while she extended her learning without any prompting at all. And of course, that's the best way of assessing, isn't it? You know, get the children to do it themselves because they're the ones who are going to benefit from it. So instead of looking at having to produce statistics for people up here, think about what the children need down here and let them reflect on it and then just say, look, this is what they're doing and this is, you know, me being accountable. That's basically what I just said there. And finally, I was working in a class, a Year 6 class. They had a bit of a fun session with me one afternoon in between their SATs revision. And this is just a little animation they made about germination. And, you know, it could be used as evidence of what they know. And it ends with a smile. So that's basically all I had to say. We need to get rid of this cloud. We need, as teachers, to be able to say, you know, and as people making games and the fun things, children do learn from it. We've got to be able to say this is how they're learning from it. And just consider that actually shared reflection of learning experiences is going to say far more about education than passing tests and things. So it needs to become simple and a reflection of learning experiences. Otherwise, we'll be as old as Dorothy Heathcote and still talking about games-based learning. There'll be a few creative schools doing it, but actually it won't really change anything.
Oh.